Well, welcome back to Little Fishes at Home, everyone. It's great to be with you again this week. Let's start by singing our praise time song together. And as you sing, don't forget to clap along as well.
Come on, everyone, it's time to sing a song, to praise our God, for He's so good to me. Come on, everyone, it's time to sing a song, to praise our God, for He's so good to me. Come on, everyone, it's time to sing a song, to praise our God, for He's so good to me. Come on, everyone, it's time to sing a song, to praise our God, for He's so good to me.
Let's do our prayer drill together. 1, 2, 3. Dear God, we thank you that you are very good, and thank you that you love us all. Please help us now to sing about you and think about you. Amen. Well, we've been thinking, haven't we, over the last few weeks about different ways that God rescued people that we read about in the Bible. Firstly, we heard about Noah, and then Joseph and Moses. Last week, we heard about how God rescued his people from the giant man Goliath, using just the boy David. And this week, we've got another true story from the Bible about a young woman who rescued God's people from someone else who wanted to kill them. And the song that we've been learning about is about how God was faithful to all these people, isn't it? He loved them and rescued them all that time ago. And this is the same God that still loves us today and wants to rescue us from all of the dangerous things that we face in our world today. So if you want to sing along with Rachel and do the actions, that's great. Or if you'd like to play along with an instrument as you sing, go and find your instruments now, pause the video, and then play along as you sing with Rachel.
Noah built the most enormous boat that kept the birds and animals afloat. The Lord was good, the Lord was strong, and Noah lived his life for him. Moses led his people through the sea, taking them away from slavery. The Lord was good, the Lord was strong, and Moses lived his life for him. comes to me, when it comes to me, when it comes to me.
Now, I'm a little bit nervous about this next bit because it's time for us to practice our memory verse. And last time I had to do it, I found it really hard. And now it's even longer than it was then. So I've been watching Little Fishes from last week and practicing. So hopefully I'm going to get it right. I'm going to give it a go and you can join in with me to make sure that I get it right. So let's give it a try, shall we? Off we go. Turn your ear to listen to me. Come quickly to my rescue. Be my rock of protection, a fortress where I will be safe. Well, I think that was okay, wasn't it? Did I get it right? Well done if you were joining in, and well done if I did it a bit wrong and you corrected me. Let's try it twice more together. Ready? Turn your ear to listen to me. Come quickly to my rescue. Be my rock of protection, my fortress where I will be safe. Brilliant. Last time. Turn your ear to listen to me. Come quickly to my rescue. Be my rock of protection, a fortress where I will be safe. And just the last thing that we need to learn today is where that comes from in the Bible. Now, I think I did tell you a few weeks ago that it comes from the book of Psalms, and Psalms are like songs or poems. And lots of those were written by King David, who is the same David that we heard about in our story last week, that boy who killed the giant Goliath with that stone that hit him in the forehead. So at the time that we heard that story, David wasn't the king then, but David became the king of Israel, and he wrote lots of the Psalms that we read in the Bible, and he wrote this one. So we're going to do this sign, because this is the sign for singing, and the Psalms are like songs and poems. So we can say Psalm, and then it's 31, and it's verse 2. Okay, so Psalm 31, verse 2. Let's do it one more time. Psalm 31, verse 2. I wonder if we can put that on the end of our verse and do the whole thing together. Let's try it. Ready? Last time. Turn your ear to listen to me. Come quickly to my rescue. Be my rock of protection, a fortress where I will be safe. Psalm 31, verse 2. Well, brilliant. Now, next week is going to be our last Little Fishes. So do keep practicing that, and we'll do it one more time together next week and try and make sure it's really fixed in here so that we can remember it for a long, long time. It's time for our true story from the Bible in just a moment. But before we have that story, there are a few people that I want to introduce you to that are going to be in our story. So two of the people that are in our story today are called Esther and Mordecai. I wonder if you can say those names. Esther, it's not too bad, is it? The next one's a bit more tricky. Mordecai. Mordecai. Okay, so Esther and Mordecai. And they were cousins. And they were also Jews. So although they lived in Persia, which is the country where today's events happened, their family had been born in a different country many years before. And there were lots of Jews living with them in Persia too. And the Jews were God's special people, people who believed in God and who did what he said. Now this was very different from the way the Persians lived, and sometimes this was okay, that they did different things, but at other times it caused problems. So in the beginning of today's story, Esther and Mordecai hadn't told anybody that they were Jews yet, so nobody knew. Listen carefully, because this is what the Bible says in the book of Esther. In a place called Persia, there was a king, and he needed a new queen. The way that a new queen was chosen in those days happened like this. Lots of young women would spend a year getting ready to meet the king, and then he would choose the one he liked the best. Well, the king chose Esther to be his new queen. He put a crown on her head and had a special party for her. There was a man called Haman who hated the Jews, and he wanted to kill all of the Jews living in Persia. He went to the king and told him that the Jews living in his country didn't do all the things that the king told them to, because they believed in someone else and did what he said instead. Haman told the king he wanted to kill them, and the king said to do what he liked. So Haman chose a day that all the Jews would be killed. Well, Mordecai was really upset when he found out about this awful plan, and he sent a message to Esther telling her that she had to help. She must go to the king and get him to stop Haman. But even if you were the queen, which Esther was, you couldn't just go and see the king whenever you wanted to. You had to wait for him to ask you to go and see him. And Esther said to Mordecai, "I haven't been invited to see the king for 30 days. But Mordecai said, "Don't think that you will escape just because you're the queen. You're no safer than the rest of us. Maybe this is the very reason that you have become the queen, so that you can help to rescue the Jews now." Well, Esther made up her mind that she would do a very brave thing and go to the king without him inviting her. And this was a brave thing, because the law was that if you went to the king when he hadn't asked you to, you would be killed, unless he reached out his special stick called a scepter. That was a sign that you were safe. But before she went to see the king, she told Mordecai and all the other Jews living in the city not to eat anything, and said that she and all of her maids would do the same thing. So for 3 days they didn't eat anything, which was what people sometimes did when they were praying really, really hard for something. On the 3rd day, Esther put on her best clothes and went to the door of the room where the king was sitting on his throne. And when he saw her there, he was pleased and reached out his scepter to her, so she knew she was safe. He asked her to come in and asked her what she wanted. Esther invited the king and Haman to a special meal the next day, and to another one the day after that. On the 2nd day, the king asked Esther what she wanted, and this time Esther begged him to save her people, the Jews, who Haman was planning to kill. The king gave orders that Haman should be killed, and wrote letters saying that the Jews were allowed to fight anyone who tried to kill them. Mordecai was made important by the king, and every year the Jews make a special time to remember and celebrate the brave thing Esther did to save their lives and rescue them from Haman. Now, I hope you were listening carefully, because I've got a question for you, and it's quite a tricky one. There's someone that we hear about lots when we hear Bible stories usually, but we didn't hear this person talked about at all in today's story. I wonder if you can guess who it is. Whose name didn't we hear in this story today that we often hear in the Bible? Well done if you noticed and said that we didn't hear God's name mentioned at all in this true story from the Bible. And here's a fun Bible fact. Esther is the only book in the Bible where God's name is not used at all. And we don't know exactly why this is, But one of the ideas about that is that it was used to show that God is in control of all of the small things that happen to make sure his people are being cared for, just as much as he's in charge of everything else. So I thought to remind us a little bit about this, for our second song today, we would sing, God is there because he is everywhere. Even when we don't see him or hear about him, he's always there and always caring for us.
If I go climbing, 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 if I go climbing, God is there. If I go climbing on the highest mountain, God is there 'cause he's everywhere. If I go driving, 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 if I go driving, God is there. If I go driving far away, God is there 'cause he's everywhere. If I go swimming, 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 if I go swimming, God is there. If I go swimming to the bottom of the ocean, God is there 'cause he's everywhere. If I go flying, 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 if I go flying, God is there. If I go flying on the biggest aeroplane, God is there 'cause he's everywhere. If I go walking, 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 if I go walking, God is there. If I go walking to Clacton Beach, God is there 'cause he's everywhere. If I go sleeping, 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 if I go sleeping, God is there. If I go sleeping on the darkest night, God is there 'cause he's everywhere.
Well done, that was great singing and instrument playing. Let's do our final prayers together. Let's do our prayer drill. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Dear God, thank you that you love us and want to look after us. Thank you for all the people that we read about in the Bible that you rescued. Thank you that you want to rescue us too, so that we can be with you forever. And a prayer for the week ahead. God our Father, thank you that we can learn about you. Please help us to remember you this week. Help us to love you and to love our friends and family. And our final prayer. Lord Jesus, please be with us as we go away from here. Amen. Help! Help! Jellycat's going to eat me. Just as soon as I can climb up this tree. Yum, yum, yum. Yeah! It's Baby Bumbles to the rescue. At your service, Mr. Apple. You keep your paws off Mr. Apple. Go and find some fish to eat or something instead. Hold on tight, my crunchy friend. Whee! Thanks, Baby Bumbles. You really saved my skin there. Always happy to help, my friend. Now it's off for another Baby Bumbles rescue. Woohoo! Whee! week will be our last little fishies at home until after the school holidays. So Rachel and I will both be with you then, and we'll look forward to seeing you. Bye.